It's a heavy loaded situation, watching it all really happen in real time. When I worked with Diddy, I didn't see him do anything of that nature of what they were talking about. And honestly, I saw more of his entourage doing crazy stuff, and that's the truth. I didn't see him personally doing a lot of the things that, he went down for. My personal experience, though, is that I think with time, again, things got out of control in terms of
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dream Leapers. I'm your host, Harriette Cole, and do I have a wonderful guest for you today? A real treat in my world anyway, a woman I have known for many, many, many years. When I started my business, which was in the mid to late 90s, not long after, I met her, and I don't want to give it all away now, but I spent a long period of time working with artists in the music industry, helping them to tell their story. And one of those artists is someone she worked with. So I'm not going to say all of it now. I'm going to introduce you to Ashunta Sheriff-Kendricks, and she's now married to Mr. Kendricks. She's going to tell us about that. She's an incredible makeup artist who has been in this game for a very long time, a wonderful person who now has her own line of makeup. She's going to tell us about all of that too. Please join me in welcoming Ashunta Sheriff-Kendricks.
Hey,
hello.
How are you?
I am so good. So Ashunta, I did meet you with Alicia Keys, correct?
Yes, you did. That's when we first met. I started with Alicia in 2004. Yeah, around 2004.
2004. So I didn't realize I'd been in business that long beforehand. I started my business in 1995. And it was Andre Harrell was my first client. And then through Uptown Records, I worked with Mary J. Blige and then Erykah Badu and lots of people, many different record labels over the years. And Alicia, right before her music came out, she was brought to me and I did media training with her. She came to my office once a week for months. And I, to this day, call her my best client because she wanted it more than anybody. She was a teenager and she's like, I'm going to get this. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to make it happen. And look at her today.
Yeah, she's an expert media trained person. Absolutely. So no, that's amazing.
So you were brought in to work with her. What was she like? Tell us about your experience with her.
Oh my gosh. When I started with Alicia, I would say she still was a new artist, but gosh, she'd already won 4 or 5 Grammys by the time I actually started with her, because her first album, which was Songs in A Minor, she'd already had major hits with Fallin', and, we already know the hits, that came from that album.
Right.
And so I kind of came into her stratosphere, like in the midst of that, in terms of her knowing who I was. We hadn't worked together yet, but her stylist at the time was Patty Wilson, if you remember, but she had an assistant named Worry Weiss.
Yes.
Worry and I knew each other because I had went to his college several years beforehand to do his homecoming they had a society called Bon Vivant Society. And so they brought me down as the makeup artist. They actually paid to bring me down to do all of the makeup for Bon Vivant Society for their fashion show presentation for their homecoming. And that's when I met Worry. And so we became fast friends because we were both from Harlem. We both, HBCU kids. And so we found a friendship. And then when he started assisting Patty, when Patty was kind of making her exit from touring, she was like, I'll set it up, but I'm not doing that, and I'll let the youngins take that over. And so it was now becoming, you know, a thing where Alicia was going to need a makeup artist, because even her primary makeup artist, Ayako, at the time also wasn't going to tour. And
Right.
so that's what people don't understand. You know, makeup artists, there's different levels to things. And really high level makeup artists do not go on tours. They just don't do that. They don't have the time, the bandwidth, because they have too many clients. So
Right.
touring was great for me because I had a big male clientele and I was known as a male groomer. I needed to build myself with female talent. And so a tour was something that was great for me, because I now needed to build myself in that area, being a female makeup artist, because believe it or not, that wasn't like transferred over. Just because you did male grooming, that didn't mean that female artists would trust you with their face. So for me, my agent at the time was like, I think this is a really big opportunity. You want to do more females. I think this is how we get to it. And so I took that opportunity and I ended up doing a Vote or Die commercial that was directed by Lee Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
And Diddy actually was the executive producer of that commercial with Lee. And so I was already kind of going to be doing it anyway, because I was Diddy's groomer. And he had called me in to do different people that were being featured in the commercial. And they were able to get me to do it pro bono. And so I was like, yeah, I'll take this opportunity to work with her. And I did Alicia's makeup, and she looked in the mirror and she went in the bathroom for like 10 minutes with the door closed, and it freaked me out because I was like, oh my gosh, does she like it? Does she not? And she came out and she said that it, you know, was one of the best makeup jobs she had ever seen. And that's, the rest is history. We were together for well over a decade.
That is so great to hear. And you're just reminding me, see the timeline. I was accurate in my memory. I worked with Alicia before she launched. She was a teenager before Songs in A Minor. It was just as that was, so it was in the mid 90s.
Yeah, you started with her when she was signed to Columbia. She was 14.
No, right after.
Yeah.
She wasn't with Columbia anymore, but she was about to have this album.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's often when I work with artists. But we met when I was at Ebony. Is that it?
Yeah, you and I met. We met definitely during. I mean, I thought I've already met you though during the Alicia phase too.
I really thought so too. You know what? We've been knowing each other for a long time. That's what we're gonna say.
It's your Ebony magazine then, when you did the Alicia cover.
So that was really amazing too, because you know I'd spent many years at Essence and then left, opened my business, and then at a certain point went to Ebony to help resuscitate that brand. And there was a group of us who came in and had a wonderful experience, apart from, you know, the economy fell out, which ended up killing. Wait a minute.
Now you're saying Essence. Maybe we met at Essence.
It could be.
Yeah, it's somewhere, because there you did you work with covers?
I did, but at the end, I left Essence in 1995. I don't think you were there yet.
No, I wasn't. No. So it's definitely Ebony. It's definitely Ebony.
It's Ebony. Mm-hmm. And anyhow, so that cover, we just for folks, and I'm going to find it so we can show it in this broadcast. It was magnificent.
I have it if you need it. I can send it right to you.
Thank you. Alicia's dressed in a beautiful red dress. She's in the air. We went to this nightclub. She's standing in the air, holding on to an aerialist taught her how to stand.
Yes, I remember. It was beautiful.
It was magnificent, and she was flying high. She had reached yet another amazing level in her career, and we were able to celebrate her, which was just one of those special moments. And that, I believe, is when I met you and Worry. And
yes.
And now that's been many, many, many years, but it was a wonderful experience. So I want to go backwards.
Okay.
And ask you, well, first, let me let folks know, how long have you had your brand?
We will be 4 years old in March.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so we're 3.5 years, a little shy over 3.5 years old now. And it's just been a journey. It's been a journey. It's been fun. And it's fun because I like learning, you know, so. But there's been crying too. There's been tears too.
What are the products that you carry in your line?
So we have a series of products. I would say we have a little over 40 SKUs now, and we have foundation. We have 14 shade range, flexible shade range, what I like to call. Definitely fitting you and I in there, but we got all the way to chocolate suede, which fits a beautiful, rich ebony skin tone. We have our Blur Effects powder, which is,
excuse me, what is the Blur Effects?
so Blur Effects foundation is our 2-in-1 foundation. It's foundation with the concealer in the lid. And then we have Blur Effects powder. Blur Effects powder is our universal setting, blotting powder. It's your all universal powder. You can use it in either way, but it also universally works for every complexion, every skin tone. It's no tone powder. And so we use it backstage. Tons of people love it in the film industry, because if you have to do a lot of background people, you don't have to think about it. You can put your puff in and touch up everybody. So it's an amazing product. It's also waterproof. Then we have Beauty Fix-It Spray, which is our setting spray, which is an alkaline water-based botanical setting spray. It gives you a beautiful, radiant, dewy finish, but still locks your makeup on, keeps it waterproof and snatched for your, duration of wearing your makeup. We have our Browsing Brow Gel. That's our brow gel. It's old-fashioned style, gel style brow gel. And we have like a spoolie that comes with it, but we also sell a spatula spoolie brush, and we have one of the strongest brow gels on the market. People love it. They use it to lock down not only their hair, but it's great for male grooming. It's amazing for mustaches. It even comes in the clutch when it's time for edge control. I've seen it work.
Now it's because it's clear, right?
It's clear.
So what do you put it over top of after you have
colored the brows in?
Colored the brows in.
You can do it either, or people do it either way. Some people put the product on first, and then they do the pin-like style stroking through it. And then some people shape it first and then put it through it. But it doesn't temper with product in terms of makeup if it's on or after.
But it helps seal it.
Yeah, it locks it in, and it just really helps to coif your brows so that they stay formed, because a lot of times brows are unruly and they get all over the place, especially the thicker the brow hair, the more people need more control. And even for those without a lot of brow hair, our Browsing Brow Gel, the reason why we call it a zing is because it makes your brows look fuller. It makes them fluffier, it makes them fuller looking. And it's the formulation. So when you comb through your brows look like 2 times fuller, with the product. And then that's why I pencil afterwards, because I want the fullness effect first, and then I'll go through it. And then we have Glow Lift Lip Plumper. We have one of the cleanest, vegan, paraben-free lip plumpers on the market. So this is a lip plumper that I look at it more as a serum pre-lip product, because it is a serum. So Glow Lift Lip Plumper is a lip serum. It actually does burn. It has a burn to it, but that burn is all natural. That's a ginger base, black pepper, capsium, which is the cayenne pepper, are the key active ingredients
the burn is what makes it plump.
Yeah, and that's what makes it plump. The reason why lip plumpers are great: when we get older, ageless beauties lose volume in their lips. I hear it all the time. This lip is thinner than that one, all the time.
Ageless beauties, I like that.
So that's my term for women 40 plus. And so when you put on a lip plumper, it's going to spread the lines in the lips. It's going to make the lips look fuller. It actively is going to basically bring all that moisture that your body is holding. It's going to bring it to the lips, right? So the lips can really get fuller and juicier, but also stretch out those lines and wrinkles too, so that this looks just more youthful. And so it's a great product. I mean, it's been doing really well. So that's Glow Lift Lip Plumper.
So this is interesting, because I'm so glad to hear your explanation. I think of lip plumpers, and I'm like, I don't need that. My lips are big enough. But it's more than that. It's hydration,
it's fullness, but it's also, what I think people forget is when we age, we lose volume in our lips. So yeah, your lips may be full because you're African-American or, person of color. Or I should say sometimes, someone's not African-American and they have really full lips. So any person of color, right, can have full lips, right? And there are some whites who have full lips. Right. But everyone over 40 is losing volume and at a rapid pace, So collagen and volume are things that we lose as we get older. We don't really start to produce more of it. And that's why, you see even someone like me, who has still like a baby face, I could see the chisel happen in my face because I'm losing that baby face volume that I had when I was in my 30s, and I'm in my 50s now. So, but yeah, that volume is important. And so like, people who like, I'm having this trouble with, I had someone literally say this, I'm having trouble lining my lips like I used to, because she said my line doesn't feel as defined. It's because you lost volume.
Right.
So you put our Glow Lift Lip Serum plumper on first. It burns good 3 minutes. Some people said longer. Some people longer, but that burn is good because when it's going on, it's putting that volume where you need it. And once you get through it, then you can line your lips and do your lipstick and everything. But your lips will look that much better. So people who love lip plumpers are addicted to our lip plumper. So I know I did the right thing, and it's better than taking on a lip plumper that's full of toxins. Ours is literally, it's clean. It's a clean formula, and you will get lip plumpers in your mouth. It happens, people lick their lips. So at least if you're licking this and it's getting in your mouth, that burn is ginger, it's black pepper, it's cayenne pepper.
Right.
So
I am so happy for your explanation. I've actually never, every time I've seen lip plumper, I'm like, never mind. I don't need that. My lips aren't the fullest, but they're full enough. So I didn't think I needed to do it. But your explanation, absolutely, they've changed. I know they've changed. Yeah. And I can see and feel that they've changed. So that's an excellent point.
And you may not want to wear a lip plumper, let's say, to your audience members if you're putting on a lipstick, because lipstick outlines the lips, really, you know what I mean? So you may not use it in that instance, but people who are putting on lip gloss and not able to really get a prominent look with a color, you may want to put the plumper on so that the lips can just get a little bit more plush and fuller looking. Plus, it keeps your lips hydrated. You can tell when you actively put our plumper into your skincare regimen, you feel the difference in your lips every day. You feel like, oh, my lips are really hydrated because it holds that moisture. It's really good. It just burns. It just burns. It's a good one.
I love it. This is Dream Leapers with Harriette Cole. I'm so excited. We are talking to Ashunta Sheriff-Kendricks. She is a celebrity makeup artist. She's been in this game for a very long time. She has her own line, Ashunta Sheriff Beauty, and she's going to tell us about everything. So, Ashunta, you went to Howard University just like me. I don't even know if I told you that. I'm a Howard grad.
You told me.
Why did you choose Howard?
I mean, they were the only school in the country, I think, that I could focus on anthropology and dance. It was one of the few programs that there was a healthy, meaty dance program because of, the Allen sisters and everything that they've done in Hollywood. And then there was this emerging cultural anthropology department, and anthropology was really like kind of taking a forefront because of the work that Dr. Blakey had done. And he was our tenured professor over all of anthropology at Howard. He broke the burial ground. So that brought this whole awareness of archaeology to Howard. And that was something I was always interested in. My parents raised me with a lot of history, and history is something I think is super important, which is why I started Hip Hop Beauty, which is a whole nother brand and a whole nother subject matter. But, we have to not only tell the stories, but be the guardians of our stories, because this is how, culturally things get appropriated. And so I was using this term because I'm doing this interview with another publication, and they were like, well, why, is this so important, for us in the Black community in terms of our storytelling and the narrative of our beauty? It's crucial because this is how you get the story of Cleopatra being a white woman when she is not a white woman, So if we don't wrangle and take control of our actual narrative, then we will have 100 years from now someone thinking Little Kim was white and Foxy Brown was white. And it's the truth. No, it happens very fast. It happens.
Well, and by the way, Ashunta, this is where, because I tell people all the time, everything that you learn, everything you study, everything can be used as you further your life. So as an archaeology. Was that your major?
Anthropology.
Anthropology. As an anthropology major, you are bringing that lens. You're bringing that lens that says you have to pay attention to our history. You have to pay attention to everything that came before. It's not enough to beat a pretty face, right? But
Right.
who are we? And so what is this hip hop? What did you make?
So Hip Hop Beauty is me and Timbisa Shaka. I'm sure you know her through the world of music and writing. She's kind of like you. She's been the pen, so to speak, in terms of the storytelling of many, many, many artists who've come out and she's broken their careers. So she's also a producer for over 25 years. She produced over 20 BET awards, over 8 BET experiences. She did the copy for Dangerously in Love, for everything, for Destiny's Child, for D'Angelo, for Mary J. Blige, for so many people. And so she's like walking history. And so her and I together make Hip Hop Beauty. And Hip Hop Beauty is our love letter, our homage to hip hop beauty being the thing that really came into our lives and changed our lives. Hip hop is the thing that, like I told you, you know, I started in the industry. My very first show was Run DMC. Right. You know, Genuine and Soleil. You can't get more hip hop than this. You know, so that's my very first experience, my very first paid situation into the paid entryway into the industry is through hip hop. And for Timbisa, it was the same. She came through Gavin. And she was the journalist for Gavin that was on the ground at the trade shows, breaking, you know, leaders of the new school's career and talking to, you know, De La Soul and all these people. I mean, she was a youngin'. She was like 17, 18 years old, working also with Gil Scott-Heron and Etta James, you know, so she was working with legends, you know, from a very, very young age. She comes from the West Coast. I grew up on the East Coast. And when we met each other over 20 years ago, she was already an author. And I told her, I said, I want you to write it started off as her writing basically a chapterized book that we wanted to create, which was called Hip Hop Beauty. And it was going to be a coffee table book. And it was going to take you through hip hop beauty through time. Now, 20 years ago, that was only 3 decades.
Right.
So it's taken 18 years for this project to get lifted off the ground. And we will actually lift off at Art Basel. December 4th through 6th at the National Hotel. We have a curated exhibition. Our 2 shooters that we are highlighting are female shooters, are Cheryl Fox, legendary, iconic photographer. She's coming with works of Beyonce, Little Kim, you know, Lorianne Gibson, and just beautiful, amazing Black women in the industry who, whether you're in front of camera or even behind, is important, right? And then we have our newbie. I call her a legend in the making. Her name is Mazi Schmazi, Haitian-born photographer, but she's a choreographer turned shooter. And she's a phenomenal, phenomenal photographer. The New York Times just did a beautiful, brilliant piece on her. She did a collaboration with Nike and Megan Thee Stallion that's like ran globally. So she's like doing major stuff. She comes from hip hop. Her father was the Fugees DJ. Her mother's a world-renowned vocalist and singer-songwriter. So she's coming from the history of hip hop. So the whole curation is not just photographic art. It's also going to be some merch there that's hip hop beauty oriented. We're also going to have panel discussions. We're also going to have a beauty bar that's going to be led by Thebo and its founder, which is Kendra Garvey, world-renowned braider. She did the Ivy Park braids, the Beyonce Lemonade braids, but she has a huge history and a huge footprint in the beauty industry as a hairstylist and a global master braider. And then you'll have a beauty bar with Ashunta Sheriff Beauty. So that will be happening. So we have a whole bunch of activations, and it's all powered by Gen Art and Finicky Philly. And we're really excited to, you know, launch off hip hop beauty to the world. And it's going to travel. It's going to go from Basel to New York Fashion Week, which you'll come, Harriet, when we have it there.
Absolutely.
And then we'll move to Coachella. And then we may have some cities in between where the curation will visit.
How exciting. But so today there's so many options for makeup, but I think that a lot of women, and I'm going to say men too, because men wear some makeup sometimes too. So I want to talk about both of them. But when people don't normally go to a makeup artist, and if people are considering doing the makeup themselves, I'd love some tips for that. And also, if you're going to work with a makeup artist, what recommendations you might have for women and men. So let's start with women. What are the basics that you think they need to know as they're planning for their wedding day?
So you find your happy medium by, putting together your lookbook, so to speak, and then you start putting it into action. Now, what you need to do is take a collection of what makeup you do have. If you're a makeup junkie, you're good. This message isn't for you. But if you're a new girl to makeup or a newbie to makeup, or you only wear makeup on occasion, you may have to do a shop. You may have to update some things. So the things that you need most importantly are like a waterproof, transproof foundation. You must have a primer, and you need a waterproof, transfer proof powder. Those are like 3 really key things to just making your complexion look great. And so you don't have to worry so much about concealer, highlight, and all those other things. That's more, I feel like that becomes more advanced. But if someone's just trying to get like a soft basic beat, just starting with great foundation, a great powder to set everything, and that primer, of course, to lock everything in from the beginning. And then you need to incorporate a really good lip color. That's where you have to make some decisions on what you want to lean towards. Now, I've done tons of weddings, and I feel like it's very stark down the middle. Women either want a red color or they want nude. There's no in between. You very rarely get someone saying, I want a hot pink lip, or I want a burgundy lip. It's either they want a classic red or a nude that works for their skin tone. So try both of those color schemes out. I feel like, red is a beautiful, elegant color for weddings, especially if it's paired with really simple makeup. Do it. Go for it. It looks beautiful. But if you're not a lip person, go for a nude, but give it a try at least. So get a blue red. Blue reds always look good on any skin tone, whether white, black, or whatever. So get you a really good, vibrant blue red that's transfer proof and waterproof. And there's a lot of different ones on the market, from Fenty to Ashunta Sheriff-Beauty to MAC to L'Oreal to drugstore level to Revlon. There's a lot on the market. But get a nude and just play with that and play with a red and see which one you really vibe with. And then blush to not blush. This is like, some women can't stand blush, never have used blush. I always say, if you do want to try your hand at blush, if you've never used it, you can always start with a pinch of the lipstick that you wear all the time.
Like our mothers used to do.
A very, very small pinch, and just put it on the apples, like rub it down till it's almost like you see just a hint of color. And if you really like how that looks, then go out and match a blush to that lip color, because that's typically the blush color people want to have, is something that's kind of close to the lip color. Now, if you're wearing a nude, people go, well, what do I do when I'm wearing a nude? Well, if you're wearing a nude, typically you want to wear a blush that would look like how you would look if you blushed. So typically for women of color, that's like a corally pink, you know what I mean? Or it's like a hot pink. Like if we were to pinch our cheeks, it'll be like that color, but like soft, like a cast. So there's tons of blushes on the market that fit that. And I would say lean in towards a cream, because cream also looks more skin-like. And there are skin-like cream blushes on the market and liquid blushes that become waterproof and transfer proof. So you don't have to worry about crying. I think of, Rare Beauty, LYS, Danessa Myricks Beauty are some of the brands I can just shout out immediately. We have thermal blush. It works amazing at Ashunta Sheriff-Beauty. But then, now we're building the face now. Now you see we're like moving. And so what do people do with their eyes? Eyes are really like up to you. If you're a novice to beauty, don't pick this day to try to do some
right.
This is not the day to do that. Do what works, So if you're a one shimmer champagne girl, do your one shimmer champagne look, because now you're doing other things you may not normally do, like a lip, a cheek, so keep it simple, because really you need to have a lash on. You really have to. And people are going to be like, how the heck do I do that? Well, there's a lot of different lashes out on the market now that I think are better for novice. Magnetic lashes are great. Ashunta Sheriff-Beauty, we have our magnetic lashes. Our motto is, if you can line, you can lash. So
okay, explain a magnetic lash. What is that?
So a magnetic lash basically is a lash that has tiny magnets on it on the weft, and it's adhered through putting on like a liquid liner adhesive. And so there's different brands in the market. I'm not the only one that has it, but you would line your eyes, and once you line, you let it dry maybe a minute, 2 minutes max. So typically if I'm putting on my magnetic lashes, I line my eyes and then I kind of do the rest of my face because I want it to dry. So I'll line my eyes and I put on my primer, put on my foundation. I've done my concealer. I do some by the time I get to contour and blush, it's already dried. And then you just pick up the lash and it just goes right on and you don't have to think about it.
And how do you get it off?
Oh, it comes off easy with any waterproof makeup remover. So micellar water, coconut oil will get it off. And when you take off your magnetic lashes, they're meant to be reusable. So you just clean them off, with the product. You can use like a little Q-tip with like micellar water and clean it out, or eye makeup remover, clean up all the excess, plug them back into the containers that they come in, and then you're ready for your next special occasion. So that was actually the product that really kickstarted my brand. It was our magnetized luxury lashes. They came in one style, which had two different styles inside the box. Now we have 5 different boxes that we offer. And so we have from very, very natural to dramatic. We even call them drama mags. And then the very natural ones are called She Is So Classy. But this gave people, and these came out like at the tail end of the pandemic when we first launched our brand. It gave people, if I could read some of the reviews that not just men, not just women, but men too, who want lashes and wear makeup, like everyone was just blown away at how they could actually put on a lash now and how easy it was.
Fantastic. That's news to me. Okay, yeah. So now we have, do you put the lash on before you put the eye makeup on?
You would do your shadow first, and then you would do the line and then put the lash on.
You are listening to Dream Leapers with Harriette Cole. We are talking to Ashunta Sheriff-Kendricks. She is doing her thing. I love hearing these stories. Yeah. And so you had your daughter pretty young, right?
I was 25 when I had Nami. Yeah, I was 25.
But that's young in terms of building your career.
Absolutely. She was good. It was all happening simultaneously.
Right.
From the age of when I came home from Howard from 19 to 25, I was literally building my career. Like Nami was born in the middle of it, so I was starting off very young. I was 19, interning at a record label. Gil Scott-Heron, just so you have like some idea, I was like wrangling him at TBT Records. Wow. Like literally, like Loyal would be like, I need you to go. Loyal was the head of A&R and Gil was his artist. And he would be like, I need you to go take this to Gil. I need you to go do this for Gil. And I would get cursed out. He would be like, it was just like a whole experience with dealing with Gil Scott-Heron, a legend. But yeah, so that was the kind of stuff I was doing at 19 and, dealing with music and dealing with a legend like Gil Scott-Heron, and then moving into makeup at MAC and dealing with that, and then seeing that there was something outside of the counter for me. And I really have to give like big thank you to Laura Mercier, because when I left MAC, was fired from MAC. I was fired from MAC because, MAC was under a different system when they came through the federated system. So they were no longer like a self-standing store like how they are in Spring Street or Christopher Street or the Flatiron store that they used to have. Now we were through Macy's, through the federated system. So that meant there were different like laws that we had to be under. And I was late too many times. As I told you, I was dealing with a high level of abuse. And so I would be sometimes like fighting before I was going to work in the morning, or I would be, rushing to get Nami and I out the house because I would have to go all the way from Brooklyn where we lived with Nami and go all the way to Harlem, drop Nami off at my mom's house, then travel back to Herald Square and work all day, then travel back to Harlem to get Nami, and then travel all the way back to Brooklyn because her father, who was unemployed, would not watch her. And he would call me while I was at work when he did watch her, and he would threaten to kill her and do all kinds of. So I was dealing with like high level of abuse. And so there would be days where I would have to just leave work and get on the train and get to her because I didn't want my daughter dead, literally. And so MAC had documented this. They knew what was happening, but Macy's they have policies. And so my manager at the time, literally, I've told this story a million times in the makeup artist community, so it's kind of like legendary at this time. But my manager, Demetrius, he cried when he fired me.
Oh.
He cried. So he was like, I know what you're going through. He was like bracing his chest. Like, I know, because I would have bruises, I would have cut lips, I would be a mess. And, I knew how to cover everything, and I was always jovial and happy, but no one knew to the level of the abuse of what I was going through.
Sure.
And the day that I was fired, true story, I was walking down 34th Street, moving towards Fifth Avenue because, I had moved at this time. And this was the crazy part. I actually left him and moved and got fired. That's what made me so angry, because it was just like the last incidents, And so they were like, all of the incidents, we can't keep you. And so I basically, was walking down 34th Street. When I got to I got to Fifth Avenue, and I'm bawling, crying my eyes out. Cause at this point I'm like, I finally know what I want to do. I want to be a makeup artist. I finally know this is what I want. And I'm getting fired, and this is like the biggest company like that, work with. Mac was so huge at that time, and they were now getting behind Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week. So I thought I shot myself in the foot. And literally that same day, God sent an angel to me. Wilbur Ramos was just happened to be walking right there. And he used to work at Mac, and he no longer was at Mac. He was now with another brand, emerging brand that just opened their second store in New York City, or their second location. And it was Laura Mercier. The first location was Bergdorf Goodman. Her second location was Henry Bendel. And he was like, why are you crying? And I was telling him, they fired me. And he said, no, I'm going to help you get a job. He took me right then and there to Millie Rodriguez. And Millie Rodriguez hired me on the spot.
Oh my goodness.
It may be Millie Alvarez, but Millie was she was the GM for Laura Mercier. And she was like, any friend of Wilbur is a friend of mine. She hired me right on the spot, Harriette. And I went from making $13.50 an hour to $26 an hour, because they paid more at Henry Bendel. Plus commission, because Henry Bendel dealt with commission. So overnight, my income doubled. Overnight, I'm closer to home. I had moved to 110th Street to my mom's house. Henry Bendel's on Fifth Avenue between 56 and 50.
Easy commute.
I would walk there. In the spring, I would walk Central Park. I would put on my headset and walk. So, I'm just saying, like, God is real. God is real. And that would be how my life really started to change, because now I was at Henry Bendel, and what was what's around the corner? Sony was right around the corner at 550 Madison Avenue. But also, what was across town? Universal's entire,
very close,
close, just on 8th Avenue and 50th Street. So when they had those like Wednesday girls' night out parties at Henry Bendel, where they pulled the champagne out, a lot of executives, Sylvia Rome, people, they came shopping at Henry Bendel's, and I would meet people firsthand. And that's how I ended up doing music videos, because I met executives real time. And those were my first customers. My first customers were the executives, in the business. I would be called to the office. I think Falana Williams, or Shauna Ayers, or Jana Fleischman, or, Tracy Waples, Norma Augenblock, all of these. Everybody knows these are legendary executives in the music industry. And, they called me to the office to do their makeup, a lot of times for headshots, for events. And so naturally I end up on their clients, so that's how it's all community. That's how I've grown. It's all through community.
That is beautiful. And before we go, I want to know, as you're working with people, you are helping to draw out their beauty, to celebrate them. And it's a really intimate thing to work with people and to paint them, to bring forth who they want to be in that moment. What would you say have you learned from working so intimately with people in this way?
I would say that definitely, a director made me realize how important our role is as hair, makeup, and costuming or styling. when talent comes in the morning, we're 2 hours pre-call before everybody else, before crew arrives. Hair and makeup and vanities, we're all in, whether it's film or whether it's a photo shoot. And the talent, we're the first person the talent's going to see, right? We're going to be in that chair for a couple of hours. And so we're going to know their temperament. We're going to know how they're feeling. We're going to know if there was death or loss in their family. We're going to know everything first. And we hold a really heavy position in terms of being the gatekeepers of their emotions, their feelings, what they're going through, what their downs are, what their ups are, whatever it may be. And it's just really like something that I never really looked at until a director told me, like, you guys are really important. You know, this was 20 years ago. A director made me realize that. And he said, I come to your trailer so I can gauge my talent. What is happening with them? How are they feeling? Not that we're divulging information and telling them, well, you know, it's really just like today's not a great day, or today's a rough day for her. Be easy. Or today she's really tired, you know, and just being able to be that voice, that buffer between the talent and the work actually happening, so that everybody knows how to kind of like move throughout the day. And it's a really heavy position. Sometimes vanities have to hold. And then outside of that, I think, you know, just everything that we have to be exposed to from our A-listers, you know, that we have to be exposed to. Some people put you on the NDA, some people don't. Right. There's a lot of information, you know, about a person that we know and have to be the holder of that, you know. And sometimes I tell talent, you know, that's hard for us too.
Of course.
You know, I can talk on this because Roxana and Whitney are gone. But God rest, you know, Roxana Floyd's soul and Whitney's soul. What a heavy job that Roxana Floyd had. And people don't think about that. You know, the literal, you are, you know, with someone every day. You're with them sometimes more than your family, and they're with you more than they're with theirs. Yes. Because we're on this mission together, which is really like magnifying their dream. And to magnify the dream takes sacrifice from everybody. The whole family is taking sacrifices, the kids, the mothers, the dogs, everybody. And that's on all ends, from the talent to the people supporting the dream. So if that person is struggling with addiction, if that person is struggling with obesity, losing weight, whatever the thing may be they're struggling with, it's a big struggle for everybody that's closely involved.
And you know what, Ashunta, I just want to jump in on that because Roxana and I were very close.
I know you were close with her.
I gave her her first photo shoot at Essence. And, you know, that ended up being a legendary place for her to work. She did my makeup for my wedding. I mean, we were close. And I remember when I was at Ebony, I had done shoots with Whitney Houston over her entire career. And I did a shoot with her when she was making the comeback. And you made mention of the fact that when a makeup artist gets to a certain level, they often don't do the tour. So Roxana, who had been, I mean, her spiritual anchor, Whitney's spiritual anchor in many ways, as well as her makeup artist. And she just was like, I can't do the tour. I cannot do this tour. It's too much. I remember talking to her about it because she was agonizing over it. And for a lot of reasons that we don't need to go into, but we know. And I think Roxana felt, well, I know because she told me that she felt had she been able to stay by her side, you know, she may have been able to help her. Who knows? But
yeah, that's a heavy burden for her to take on. No one can help anyone but themselves. And we know that, you know, when it comes to addiction, you can say, you can speak, you can pray, you can do everything. You can put holy water on the person. Right. The person has to be ready to shut the door to that addiction. But I don't want to make it too much about that, other than how heavy that burden is for a hairstylist or a makeup artist or a clothing stylist, you know, for the whole crew, the whole entourage, because once the addiction is there, or whatever the trouble may be, it doesn't have to be just, it could be money trouble. It could be sex troubles. It could be whatever trouble. And whatever trouble is happening in the camp, you damn sure know the hair, makeup, we all know it's happening. And we have to be sworn to secrecy. We have to be sworn to a code sometimes that eats at us from the inside out when we are watching someone deteriorate emotionally, mentally, physically. financially.
Yeah.
It is a lot.
Yeah. Ashunta, one other thing you mentioned, and I would be remiss to not address it, and it's one of those sensitive topics, and I'll frame it by one of my first clients was Puffy and Bad Boy. I worked with them for years. I worked with him closely and with people, with artists on his label. You know, he is in, it's one of the most tragic stories that I know what's happened in his life. I was not witness to any of that stuff, but he wouldn't show me. I was the essence lady. You know, he knew me in a certain way, and people don't show you stuff that you know that you're not going to be okay with, right? But two things. I'd like you to address the brilliance of him, and also anything that you would like to say about your experience of seeing this man fall like this.
It's a heavy loaded situation, watching it all really happen in real time. When I worked with Diddy, you know, I didn't see him do anything of that nature of what they were talking about. And honestly, I saw more of his entourage doing crazy stuff, and that's the truth. You know, I didn't see him personally doing a lot of the things that, you know, he went down for. My personal experience, though, is that I think with time, again, things got out of control in terms of usage, in terms of people around you who are yes people. I think he really lost a lot of the people around him that would stand up to him, who would say something, who would fight back, because the entourage that I knew around him, they were much more opinionated. And you know those people. Some of the people he had around him, like Andre, is gone. Yeah. And Andre definitely would be like, man, you crazy, you know?
Yeah,
like
he would call him out. That was like his son.
Yeah, Andre would call him out. And I just think like he didn't have like that around him anymore, you know? I went through experiences in a different way with that camp financially, because, you know, that was kind of like the known thing. Bad Boy wouldn't pay you, you know? So I went through a lot of hiccups with trying to get my money sometimes, and that put a bad taste in my mouth. That's one of the things that made me move towards Alicia, because he literally was looking for me. Like he saw me at literally a GMA morning concert series, and I was with Jasmine Sullivan. And he was there because he was a huge Jasmine fan. He actually came to see her that early morning perform. And he was with Cassie, and he was backstage. And he was like, baby girl, where you been? Because I like disappeared from him. Because when you know, I wasn't getting paid. So I'm not wasting time. I'm a mom. I need my money. And I have an opportunity over here. So that was my reason for leaving Puff. It wasn't because of, you know, ulterior activities happening.
Right.
Again,
it was business.
It was business. It was a business decision. There were volatile things I did see that, unfortunately, I had some level of witnessing to. And, you know, whether it be hearing it in another room, you know, whether it be seeing the aftermath of a few women that I knew he was dealing with, I did see those things. So abuse, I did see it. Unfortunately, I'm not going to lie, since we're asking about it. I'm not justifying it. I am not, you know, I didn't run to police about things like that, because I was in my own abusive relationship. Right. I was too going through abuse. People have to realize we were in our 20s. You know, we were young women, and not to placate this situation, but abuse in terms of how women dealt with it all the way back in the 90s. You know, you could tell your mom something was happening, and if you had a certain type of partner, it would be like, well, he's taking care of you. You know, like it would be that type of nonsense. Yep. For me, I just left on my own. That was not my mom's information whatsoever. She was like, get the hell out of there. And I did that. But I didn't know how to even navigate it myself, you know?
Let alone for somebody else. Yep.
Yeah. So I didn't know. So how can I, you know, all I could do was say to people certain messages. I remember with Kim having a conversation with her during one of her makeup sessions at the house on Park Avenue. And Diddy and I got into a full-blown argument over her makeup. And you know it's going to make you laugh, Harriette? I'm going to tell this story. I don't tell this publicly a lot, but I did Kim's makeup, and it was for his birthday party, and he was having it at the supper club that was in the theater district. I cannot remember the name of it, but it was like very popular. And we were getting ready for the party, getting, you know, his grooming and stuff was done. And then now it's time to do Kim. And I did her makeup beautifully. And he came in after it was done, and he looked at her face and he said, what the F are you doing here? this looks like Essence magazine. And I was very offended. True story. And I looked at him, I said, what the is wrong with Essence magazine? Like, he said, I need you to do it more allure. He did. He said, I needed to look more W, more allure. And I knew exactly what that meant. It meant that clean cover girl, you know, white girl, fresh makeup look, whatever. That was his like code to give me. But I was, as a Black woman, I was offended, being honest. I was very offended. And we had words. And there were people there that night who know this story to be true. Atiba was there. The hairstylist was there. There was a bunch of people there. And we had these words between each other. And I was like, don't defecate on my art like that. I told him, and he was really like taken back that I said that. First off, I'm little, you know, I'm only 5'1", and Puff is 6'1", and I was like, don't be defecating on my artwork like that. I was like, that's my art. Mm-hmm. And him kind of cut her eyes over at me, like, you know, she couldn't believe like I'm speaking up against him. He just started laughing, and he was like, I ain't trying to defecate on your art, mama. Da, da, da. And he walked out the room. He said, yeah, but just change it. So he left, but we didn't really go back and forth, or he didn't kind of like browbeat me the way he would do other people. Wow. Because I wasn't standing for it. That's just not how I am. So even at a young age, I stood up for myself, which that I'm proud of. When it came to my art, I actually would probably defend my art over me, you know, my makeup over me personally, because I took a lot of pride in that. Mm-hmm. And when he left the room, I remember Kim saying, girl, just rub my face with a wet sponge, put a little moisturizer on your hand. She's the one who taught me that trick, and just pat it into my face so everything looks a little bit more radiant, and we'll be fine. And that's what we did. And when he came back, he was like, beautiful. And I didn't do anything. I just patted her face with some moisturizer and water, literally. And
oh my goodness.
He gave me that great modeling tip that I used throughout my career, even till this day. But what she said to me is not even worth it. That's what she said. It's not even worth it. Just do this. He won't know the difference. And, you know, that was like the first time like that I saw like her kind of like back up. But for the most part that she wouldn't. It would be argumentative. She would go toe to toe with him. She wasn't allowing the disrespect. But, you know, it's just unfortunate I would hear some of that, you know.
Wow. So many experiences. You have had so many. Thank you for being so generous and sharing just a glimpse into your world. We appreciate you. And I love seeing all that you have done over all these years. It's really beautiful. Thank you.
But what I will say, Harriette, to wrap this out is, for me, you know, Bad Boy, that's how I first got my passport. That's how I first left the world of that I knew, so to speak, as Harlem and New York City, and actually went out the country, is all with Bad Boy. That all started in my career because of that. And so I'm always grateful, you know, for the experiences that I had and the journey that I had. Is anybody perfect in that journey? No, because every client I have has skeletons.
Every person has
skeletons, you know, so that's just the truth. People tend to demonize people, you know, and it's sad because it's like throwing a stone at a glass house. Everybody has demons. They just haven't been exposed.
That's a fact. That is a fact. Thank you, my dear. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Can't wait to see what's next.
Absolutely. Thank you, Harriette. I appreciate this time.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Leapers. Didn't you enjoy listening to Ashunta? She has so many great stories, and her work is beautiful. Until next time, have a great day and make it count.